So, hello all. So, this is a quick summary that we are going to go and put up now. So, we have discussed in this session about certain features like this. So, we talked about implicit type. So, we tried to understand why do we require var type, which is going to go and avoid the problem of boxing, unboxing, and casting, recasting. We discussed about object initializer, which is going to go and help us quickly initialize the property values instead of writing parameterized constructors. Then we discussed about anonymous type, wherein compiler is going to go and generate the class for us. So then anonymous type, which compiler is going to go and generate the code automatically. Then we also discussed about like anonymous type being used into something called as LINQ query. Then we discussed about something called extension method uh, towards the end, wherein rather maybe I should put it in sequence. So we discussed afterwards about something called lambda expression. So there we discussed about a concept which is like events and delegates in short, and we discussed about how anonymous methods basically lead us to this concept of lambda expression. So we used anonymous method first, and then we evolved that example or made the example evolve towards lambda expression. After a lambda expression concept, like wherein you can have a method automatically written by the compiler and wherein you need not know the parameter will be automatically converted into specific type by the compiler by the runtime itself. Then we talked about one more feature, which is like func and action delegate. Though we did not discuss about action, but we use func delegate. And we use func delegate to point to a method which was basically pointed by lambda further. And then we used func to basically again construct something which is called as expression tree, which was ultimately which actually created a major impact on top of performance. Then we discussed about LINQ as a feature, and then here it was just an introduction to LINQ, but the same LINQ query one can very well continue with on top of collection. One can continue on XML, one can continue on dataset, one can very well continue the same on entity framework, and as usual we can also continue the same on top of SQL, which means SQL Server. So anyway, LINQ to SQL nobody uses nowadays because we have LINQ to entity. But then this was a start point before Microsoft actually announced something called as entity framework. Then after this, we talked about a couple of other features like extension method. So without even having access to the source code for the class, without having permission to extend the class also, you can still extend the class with the help of extension method. So we did discuss about from, where, select, these are all extension methods. In LINQ, we discussed about default execution. And then finally, we talked about something called as partial method concept, which is very important for when Wizard generates the code for you. So I hope you enjoyed this series. Thank you.